Hello everyone, this is Nathan up top just to give you a content warning for this episode. We are discussing Broadchurch, which does deal with some difficult themes, including sexual assault, underage sex, and suicide. If you struggle with those themes, please do not listen to this episode. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to another Happy Pod, the only podcast in the world. My name is Nathan. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the common man, as it were, except he grew up very rich. His name is Lawrence Thomas Heisey. Hello, sir, and how are you? Nobody cares because, Lawrence, you need to tell us what this silly little show is all about.
Didn't even get a syllable out that time. You're on form. Nathan, this is the show where we get together every single week and we talk about all things in the realm of pop culture. It could be a movie, it could be a TV show, it could be a video game, but the main thing is that we do so without any of the toxic discourse, which seems to be very prevalent these days.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful stuff. And what is it that we're discussing today, Lawrence? Is it a movie? Is it a TV show? Is it a video game? Is it another thing?
It's not another thing, Nathan. It's one of those three things. It often is. It's a TV series, but specifically the first of three in our 3-week saga that we're doing. What you got a nickname for this one?
I do. Yes, we're kicking off our next little mini series sort of thing. A themed few weeks, as it were.
Have we done it with TV before?
No.
So that's the first.
We've only ever done it with... We of course, had the illustrious The Matrix back in May, where we watched through all the Matrix movies. And then at some time, we did The Hunger Games.
That was not related to any month. That was just The Hunger Games.
Yeah, it was just Hunger Games because we just wanted to do The Hunger Games.
Yes.
But we did not do the new one because it wasn't out at the time.
Yeah.
And then
it was like a little tie-in. We were trying to be like, maybe people are more interested in the Hunger Games. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like we missed the boat just a little bit early.
Yeah,
probably just a little bit too early to that.
We should have been wrapping that up this week.
Yeah, maybe. But now we're doing what everyone is absolutely clamoring for. It's a TV show from 10 years ago. It is our crime drama Christmas. I'm calling this, Lawrence.
Okay.
Yes.
We should make this... I presume you are considering making this a regular thing if it's now a Christmas thing.
Oh, well, not necessarily. No, because we do...
drama Christmas, though. That's got a ring to it.
We do have we'd run out of crime dramas, but we do have our regularly scheduled Christmas episode still to come, where we will discuss a Christmas movie. But...
this is not in lieu of a Christmas festive special.
No, to me, Christmas says crime. Okay, what better way to celebrate the festive period than trauma and murder investigations and police inquiries and all this kind of stuff? I think it's the perfect marriage for the festive season. So
you're right though. I think the BBC have a monopoly on this kind of stuff. Like you have like a little crime drama.
This is ITV.
All right, British TV then.
Yeah, okay.
British TV crime drama Christmas. It's too wordy. Nathan, it's Broadchurch, season 1.
It is. It's Broadchurch. It's season 1. That's what you just said.
Yep, it is. And Nathan, let me tell you something. It definitely is Broadchurch, season 1.
Great. What a wonderful time for everyone.
We can pass this back and forth all night.
Yes.
Indeed.
And so we shall.
You suggested this. I'd never seen it before. You had seen it before.
Yes.
Did you watch this when it came out back in 2013?
I did. Yeah, I did. And I have not seen it since. Well, I mean, apart from over the last few days or so. But yes, I remember specifically this was airing around the time I was applying for university. And I remember going to my university interview and being late one night and missing Broadchurch and then being very... angry because it was the one where the killer got revealed. So I was like, I better not get spoiled. I need to see it. So yeah, it was peak Broadchurch fever sweeping the nation.
Did it have that reception when it came out? Were people like week to week talking about this?
Massively. This was huge, mate. You wouldn't know because you were like 5 or whatever. But this was...
I'm like 3-4 years younger than you.
This was huge. It really like took off in a way that no one kind of expected. It was it was very well received.
I did. Olivia Colman said the same thing that I listened to. After this, I just kind of because I'm stuck and I finished season 1 a couple of days ago, but I didn't want to start season 2 because I didn't want to record this podcast with any knowledge of what happens in season 2.
Yes, and I forbid you from doing that.
Yes, yeah. Well, Nathan has me on a tight leash.
I often set rules for you.
You do. I follow them mostly.
You do, yeah. Sometimes you break them, and I have to have a little word. But
sometimes I sit on my sofa and I go, "I'm a grown fucking man. I can do what I want."
No.
But no, I was clamoring for a bit more David Tennant and Olivia Colman content, so I went back and listened to.
There's not enough David Tennant content this month.
No, it couldn't satisfy me.
No, not on our other podcast, not with everything else going on. There is only David Tennant.
No, but I wanted the specific pairing of Olivia Colman and David Tennant, which is more rare than you'd think.
Okay, I guess.
So I literally went and it was a very surface level search, and it took me to David Tennant does a podcast with Olivia Colman. The title of the episode as well, I might add.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Great little episode, but also like the main points that kind of I took away from it is that you like pretty much what you just said. Olivia Colman, like this was like her loss of anonymity. Like she said, this had no reason blowing up as much as it did, and they were all so surprised by it.
This is what put Olivia Colman's name on the map, really, because like you think about like what she'd done before, like Peep Show and fucking. Mitchell and Webb look. And,
one wasted potential in Doctor Who.
And one very, to this day, like, the strangest Doctor Who character ever. Not really that strange, but just the casting just blows my mind. They didn't know what they had, really.
No.
She really hadn't done much of notice until this, and now, she's an Oscar-winning actress, and she's the queen, and she's like amazing at everything she does.
She has one of my favorite Oscar speeches of all time, where she just like she got the award, and then people are clapping her, and she's like, "Shut up!" Fighting back tears. She's telling them all to fuck off.
Yeah, but it's easy to see why like she blew up because spoiler alert, she's fucking phenomenal in this.
She's so good in this.
She is amazing.
I can't say I was surprised, but there was a part of me that was like you say, oh yeah, this is how she has the career she has, because it's just it's such a good piece of writing, and like I think it could fall flat in some places because there are parts of her character that you wish you got more of, but she toes the line between this kind of reserved and more idyllic character, and then where the season goes in the later episodes, my god, the writing is just handed to her, and it's like, go and bring this fucking home, and she does, and she's really, really good.
So let's start at the beginning, Lawrence. What is Broadchurch?
Okay, so it's a small town in England, in the countryside. Everyone knows everyone, and seemingly everyone kind of gets along. It's a happy place to live. You've got a mix of all sorts there. You've got these kind of old people that have retired there. You've got a mix of families, but everyone knows absolutely everyone. But all of a sudden, a new detective rocks up on the scene, and on his first day, he has basically been tasked with what appears at first to be the suicide of a young boy, an 11-year-old boy, but turns out to very quickly just like, yeah, this is a murder. Everything is not as it seems here. And it tells the story of basically how Olivia Colman, who is a detective, has to work with this other detective who has kind of swooped in and taken the job that she was promised, and they have to work together. Their attitudes kind of rub each other the wrong way. He's very pessimistic, she's very optimistic. And it's basically just kind of a story about how this small town, just kind of the ecosystem of this small town just gets unraveled, and like the worst of everyone is revealed, and secrets that were long buried, and like, you think you know your neighbor, but you really have no idea who certain people can be and who they are. Great fucking story, and great, like, you feel like this kind of tired, like this trope should feel tired, right? A miserable detective who comes in and has to save the case, but he's jaded and he's kind of distanced himself from feeling any happiness. But again, it's the performances, right? Like, David Tennant, straight away phenomenal in this.
Yeah, he does a fucking great job as the jaded detective, seemingly seconds away from death at any moment.
It's really touch and go.
It really is, mate. He'll walk into a room and then suddenly he's like, whoa, like the camera's right up in his face. It's got that soft out of focus thing going on. It's all going a bit pear shaped for him.
And then he gets up and he's like, oh no, I'm fine now. I'm fine. I know I'm fine now. I can do this case.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a really interesting storyline. It's like not necessarily anything new and groundbreaking in terms of detective stories. It is just like a well written mystery, written
it's
by.
It's a whodunit, really.
It is a whodunit. Yeah. Ryan Johnson whodunit. Only it's not. It's a Chris Chibnall whodunit.
Yeah, which feels like it's a controversial name to say in TV now when the BBC is concerned, but it's not, and he is good.
It's not the BBC.
No, all right, fine, but like in the BBC, people don't like Chris Chibnall recently because they don't like him as a showrunner on Doctor Who.
Yeah,
but like he's good.
Like, yeah, this is good. Like, this is why when he was announced as the showrunner for Doctor Who, I was like, yeah, that's great. Like, surely this cannot go wrong. And you know, I liked it for the most part, but whatever, it is what it is.
I think his strength is narrative storytelling across a season.
Yes, I think so too, rather than like a sort of episodic week to week sort of thing. Yeah. So where do you want to go with this? How do you want to dig in?
Yeah, kind of just get started, I guess. I've got a note that says the pilot of this has one of the best TV pilots I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like,
it's straight away shit's rocked, and it's one that like I'm so excited to go back and watch on a rewatch because certain people would be moving in certain ways. And I'm keen to kind of dig in and find out all those little secret things that you only would know from a rewatch. But yeah, I think it sets a Cluedo board up, doesn't it? It just sets a lineup of suspects, and they're all so different in terms of a group of characters. You've got like a reverend. Is it reverend or like a pastor? What's his title?
Reverend.
Yeah, Reverend Rory. I don't know his actual name. What's his actual name?
Paul Coates.
That's it. Yeah. And then like various people that know the family and stuff. But I think I kind of said it when I summed up how the show goes. But what I love about this pilot is it immediately makes you face facts of like, yeah, you know the guy that did this.
Yeah.
So who the fuck is it? And everyone's looking at each other. And I think there's an element of it, everyone kind of pointing fingers at each other as well, just to get attention off of them.
I think the first episode is kind of like less focused on the whodunit and more like on the tragedy of it itself, like establishing the baseline of the tragedy before we get fully into the investigation and that type of stuff. And I think that's needed because you need to obviously set the stakes and like the tragedy and how much this is gonna absolutely just fucking destroy this small town and everything like that. And yeah, it's really great. Jodie Whittaker's fucking amazing as Beth Lammer. She puts in a great performance. In particular, you know, there's the whole through line in that first episode of, oh, Danny's already left for the day. He's not in bed. He's must have already gone to school. Didn't take his packed lunch. All right, I'll take it to school for him. Sports day of summer. Teacher comes along. No Danny today. And then just this immediate like look of worry on her face, like as you know, like just like mother's instinct, I guess. Just like this, what? That doesn't make any sense. And then like the traffic, and then like when she's just walking through the cars, and then she hears that there's a body being found, and just the drop on her face, and she knows at that point. She just instantly knows and has to get there. Phenomenal scene that is. I think it. Yeah, firstly, that scene itself is phenomenal. Yeah, but I think speaking on Jodie Whittaker, like it's such a fucking incredible like handling, because I'll get to this is a large point anyway, and I'll get to kind of what I'm talking about in a bit. Like everything about this, it subverts you in a way that you think when you think murder mystery, you think stereotypical tropes, and this swerves it at every direction. Yes, Jodie Whittaker is putting a phenomenal performance in, and she's obviously crushed, but she's way more pissed off than she is upset. And like I love that about her character, and I think taking that first episode to really sit with the family and show us like how they deal with this like unthinkable, horrible fucking event that has happened.
is a really good choice. But what I especially love is that how Jodie Whittaker is not. She's not a fucking crier. She's not sat in the corner helpless. The police are coming over, and it's not like, what do you know? Let me help in any way. It's what the fuck do you know? Why are you not doing a better job? Why haven't you caught this guy yet? What's going on? But yeah, incredible first episode, and the ending, how it kind of... There's this incredible speech by David Tennant when he has to announce it, I think. And it just cycles through shots of everyone in the town hearing the news.
Yeah.
And they're just all unreadable. You can't tell like any which way or the other, and the show gives you so many fucking... I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's exciting stuff.
The show is particularly great at that. It's really good at making you suspect everyone, and like, because everyone's shifty as fuck.
They all move so weird.
They're all so shifty and shady. They're all been like, just you're screaming at your TV like, oh, just be honest, just tell the truth.
Yeah.
But then they're like, oh, it's frustrating at times, but it's also realistic in that sense because people have secrets of their own, like not related to the murder of Danny in any way whatsoever, but still stuff they don't want to get out and stuff they don't want people to know, and they're trying to do the double act of like hiding that, but also then maintaining innocence at the same time. And it's like, you got to make a sacrifice at some point. Which one's it going to be? And it's a tough act to balance for them all.
That's the thing. To the police, a lie is a lie. And if you're lying, it just makes you think like...
If you're lying about this, then why couldn't you lie about that?
Yeah, and also like, if your choices are lying about like an affair or your murdered son... You just own up to the lesser of two evils, don't you, really?
Well, you would, but then you put yourself in his shoes. Like, then what does that do to your family, who are already going through like a fucking horrendous fucking tragedy? You know, it is a difficult act to follow, but I enjoy throughout all of that, throughout everyone trying to walk that line. At the same time, you've just got David Tennant's just unrelenting, just harshness, just like, he doesn't give anyone like the benefit of the doubt for a second. It's like, as soon as he meets someone, it's like, all right, you did it, convince me you didn't.
That's the thing, everyone is guilty until innocent. And that's such a refreshing kind of way of looking at it. And I think all these things with the secrets as well, it's a genius narrative decision to make one of the detectives in charge this lovely, like, mother of two young kids.
Yeah.
Who also knows everyone.
Yeah.
Like, because you're in an interrogation room, and, like, put yourself in an interrogation room if you've cheated on your wife, and you have to admit that to, like, one of her close mates.
Yeah.
You're not... The light's on you, you're gonna panic, and you're gonna look shifty, and it's, like, narrative... Have you ever been, like someone's grilled you about something that they think you've done, and you know you haven't done it, but you immediately feel conscious of, does that make me look guilty? Do I sound wrong?
Of course, yeah. It's like, it's that thing of like going through airport security. I have nothing to... I'm just a guy going on holiday, but suddenly I'm like, oh no.
Hello, officer.
I'm like, or going through passport control, and you're trying to like make yourself like look presentable and look like your passport photo, and you're like, I am a nice, innocent person. Please let me into your country.
Should I have shaved this off? Like, do I look like me? I've gained a few pounds since, but like, I hope I still look like me.
It's weird because you can definitely feel guilty without having done anything to feel guilty about. It's a strange human phenomenon. But yeah, no, I do like the kind of the difference between Ellie and Alec Hardy, David Tennant's character, because it's like she's almost naive about it all. Like, really, like when you know the investigation first starts, she's like, well, obviously no one around here, because like I know everyone, I know these people, there's no way anyone would have done it. And David Tennant,
like it was who it was as well.
I know, and then David Tennant's obviously like he seems like a dick, but he's right in the sense that you can't think like that. You've got to be detached. You've got to set that aside and question absolutely fucking everyone, even if it's your own fucking son, because like that's the only way you can solve this case. And
you have to literally put, I mean, it's not a puzzle until you put every single piece on the board and figure out what the whole thing is. It's It's you're right about that relationship as well, because it's such a fucking. I think David Bradley's character has this incredible line to David Tennant, where he says something like I pity you, like how miserable to see such depravity in like such simple things. Like when he's talking about like, I know that that character's got his own things which we'll get to, but like he's talking about like how like he's basically, for all intents and purposes, he's a scout leader and he hugged this boy. And he's like, why are you hugging boys? And he's like, stop, man. That's not weird. Like, you're weird for thinking that's weird.
Yeah. I do want to get into all that sort of stuff in more detail because there's a lot to talk about there. But yeah, with Olivia Colman's character, you do kind of see like throughout the series a through line where like, yeah, at first she's like, no, there's no one around here. But then as it goes on, she does start to question and suspect and kind of lose that innocence more and more, where like I mean there's one point in like one of the later episodes where I can't remember who it was, but David Tennant's like, dude, no, I think it's related to her son, like she something about the son's laptop, and he asks her like, do you believe him? And she just straight up says no, whereas like earlier in the season there's not a chance she would have said that. Like she would have been ride or die for him, basically. So yeah,
there's no way in episode 1 is she putting her son on a hook like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best things about this show, and not just with the detectives, but like the characters in general. It just, as things go on and as people start pointing more fingers, it brings out the ugly side of humanity in everyone.
Yeah,
like every
really
single individual becomes the worst person that they could be in that sense. And like, and also, and it's not played for black and white, this is a bad thing, because it makes Olivia Colman's character better at her job to see the world in an uglier perspective.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But then, like, you look at Jodie Whittaker and she hands over a list of suspects she wants the police to investigate. And there's that fucking horrible, I mean, it's a great scene, but that horrible exchange of, these are all your friends. Yeah. I know. And it's like, oh, no, you are alone in this, big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that drama is also like the Jonathan Bailey's character, the journalist. I think is Ollie. I think his name is Ollie.
Yes.
Yeah, it just encourages him to be a piece of shit, to be this invasive, do anything for the story kind of journalist that it just has a disregard for what is actually his own family's suffering, or not his own family, but like basically a close knit person.
It is his family.
Knows.
It is his family. Yeah. Extended family, but yeah.
Yeah. But no, just great stuff. Really, really good drama. Do you want to talk about some of the other characters in this? Because it does, like I say, it sets the clue board up and it starts to point fingers at certain members of the town who aren't guilty, it turns out, but they still have their own stuff.
All right, here we go. Let's set up the investigation board. Let's get out the photos. Let's get out the red string. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go with our number one suspect currently, Mark Latimer. All right.
Yes, Mark Latimer. Oh yeah, he's first up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's first up. Father of the victim, murdered young boy. What do you think of Mark Latimer, played by Andrew Parker Bowles from The Crown?
Oh my God, he's in that. Okay, that's where he's from. So long I was like, where's this fucking guy? How do I know him?
He's in a few things, but
yeah, that's where I've seen him before.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, right. Firstly, I know that this is a dumb decision, but if you'd have given me £100 spending money, right, at a betting shop, I'd have put it all on him being it. Like,
really?
Because I thought they were going to do that thing where they introduce him at first, then they clear him, and then they were right all along.
Right. Okay.
But obviously not the case. But yeah, what I think is a genuinely fascinating character arc, because he goes from this detestable lowlife, who you just can't.
Does he?
I think like
not a detestable lowlife, surely.
All right, no, but just this uncooperative fucking plank of wood in the way of catching his son's killer.
Yeah, but once you understand why he's like that, I think it then completely makes sense. Really.
I mean, still not great stuff that he does.
Yeah, like not great. Like he's not thinking clearly at any point though. Like, I don't know. It's hard to like come at this thing from a point of rationality, because I don't think you can think rationally during a time like this. You know,
Yeah.
it's
That's
difficult.
something the show gets right. People's real lives are messy,
Yeah, exactly.
and they have complicated relationships with every single person they know.
Yeah,
And I think that's probably best expressed in this character. Then I would say, just because he did a terrible thing, and the timing of it was so piss poor.
yeah,
And he's a man that's filled with regret. It's revealed that he did actually once lay his hands on his son,
in a violent way, not a sexual way.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like something that he regrets. And obviously, then his affair is brought to light, and that's something he regrets. And he has this just fascinating speech that I think is so typical of like men behavior as well, where it's like he has this line where it's like, she's not prettier than you. I don't like her more than you. I don't not love you. It was just different. It was just something else. And that's
Is that
like
something you relate to as a married man?
yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh my god! We got
Don't
him.
do that,
We got
Nathan.
him, folks. Clip it out.
No,
We got him.
you got that police sound effect?
I do. Hold on.
No.
We got him, boys.
No, but that is something that is just like it's a man that has been caught cheating, and he has
Yeah.
no excuse. It's just I don't know, man. Just what I was thinking, and like that's useless.
Yeah.
And there's almost no one to blame but him. But it's such a lousy fucking thing to do that it's almost like you can't get mad at him. You just think like that was so stupid.
It is. Yeah. It is purely just stupidity and just very poor timing. Really.
Yeah. Oh,
just
I mean, like this wouldn't have been half as bad
yeah.
if not for all of this.
Yeah. Like the very night that like his, and he even says that like it's like the fact that it's the same night, it's something like he has to live with forever and that type of thing, and the mistake he's made and that type of thing. Yeah. It's
And I can't speak for where season 2 or season 3 takes that character, but like you would assume that this would be a defining point in his life to make him buck his ideas up. Like he realizes how, well, I mean, I at least season 1 to me, I would assume that going forward he would understand how valuable family is, and that like mundanity in his own life that he expressed the kind of discomfort and displeasure for would become something that he would like hopefully learn to cherish going forward, because it's interrupted in a very big way, and he'll like I think he even has a line at one point about how he'll never like kiss his son's forehead before he heads off to school. He'll never just butter him a slice of toast quickly before he walks out the door. Like it's all of that stuff that he'll never get to do again, which is the stuff that caused him to be not a great guy in the first place. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Throughout, like, kind of like once the affair has come to light and stuff, and once Jodie Whittaker's character knows about it, there's this kind of like through line with like the latter family trying to like reconnect, I guess, after that point. Because as well, we haven't talked about it, but we find out in an early episode that Beth, Jodie Whittaker's character, is pregnant as well, which fucking hell. Like,
Oh boy.
Yeah, like what does that do to someone? Like the fucking emotional toll that would take. Like, not only have you just lost your son, but now you're pregnant, and like I can't even imagine
with that fact.
Yeah,
it's so. There's an incredible line she says about like I don't want this one, I want my old one.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man, a horrible way to think about that.
It is though. You can't help but like immediately think of that child as a replacement. Like, not the fucking baby's fault. Baby didn't ask for this. Like,
No,
fucking hell.
but people say this, right? When your dog dies, you get a new dog, and you almost feel guilty about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because you're like, nothing will replace my dog.
Yeah.
But this is also now my dog.
But
and like,
you like still find yourself longing for that companionship and longing for something in that respect. It doesn't mean you forget about your other dog and that type of stuff.
She has a rare comedy moment as well, where like she has
there's quite a few rare comedy moments. It's not all just like bleak and serious. Like, it's pretty bleak, but like there is a few like genuinely funny moments throughout the show, I think.
Most come from David Tennant's character just being a pure fish out of water, like just not getting along with these country bumpkins at all.
What was the Jodie Whittaker comedy moment?
So she obviously speaks to her husband about the baby, and he's like, well, you're keeping it. And then she speaks to fucking Paul Coates, the
Rory.
Yeah, Rory. Yeah,
You can just call
she's-
him Rory.
Yeah, that's easier. She speaks to Rory, and Rory's like, "Well, you should keep it." And then she like, that's after hearing her husband say the same thing,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, the men think I should keep it." Well, great.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
And it's like, yeah, that must be really fucking irritating to hear that coming from people right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. All right. Who's next up on the suspect list?
Who is next up?
Is it David Bradley or Nige?
No, Nige kind of comes into it later, really.
Yeah. I think he starts off in it a little bit, and then he skirts around it.
Nige is more in relation to Mark. Like,
Yeah.
can you cooperate what Mark is saying? And then Ellie has that great line where like she's you can only get this in like a small country town where everyone knows each other. But there's a moment where David Tennant is like interviewing Nige, and he's like, "So where were you at this time?" And then Ellie just comes in, "Don't be a prat. Your mum says you was at home with her watching TV."
It's like, stop pissing about, mate.
Which is great. Which is very funny.
That is very good.
But yeah, so David Bradley's character, he's like he runs the local news agents and the Sea Brigade, which is like Boy Scouts but with boats or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, literally like scouts for boats.
Yeah, scouts for boats. And I don't know about you, but I think this kind of like storyline with David Bradley's character, this is like it's the most like fucking heartbreaking thing. It's so just fucking horrible. Like the way he's vilified and like to the point where there's like an angry mob at his door and all this type of stuff, and his whole life is fucking completely turned around to the point where he has no option, where he feels like he has no option but to fucking top himself. I don't know, man. It's fucking brutal, and I'm not saying he's a perfect person, but like I don't think he's a bad person at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. This show does this so well. He's a real person.
Yeah,
with fucking complications and like a past that he's actively tried to move away from. And
if you haven't watched it, basically David Bradley's character used to be a music teacher, I think, and when he was like, was it 30, 40 or something?
He said he was in his 40s. Yeah.
In his 40s, yeah. He fell in love with a 15-year-old pupil who was 4 weeks away from being 16. They made a point of saying that.
They did make a point, and let's just get on the record now. Either way, not great stuff.
Not great stuff, all right? Like, fucking not ideal, okay?
But also, like, in the 80s. And like
a long time ago where attitudes were different. But also as well, not like a predatory man going after a young girl with her wanting nothing to do with it. They got married and had a kid, it turns out. Okay, they had like a full relationship,
and he still actively pines over her loss. Like this was obviously again, there's a theme of not great timing in inappropriate relationships, but she was obviously the love of his life.
Absolutely, yeah. And when that kind of like comes to light, the whole town just immediately just fucking turns on him and vilifies him. And the most heartbreaking, it's so well written because like earlier in the same episode, there's the scene where like everyone's having dinner together. Like Nige cooks like a Sunday dinner for everyone, and like the Miller family are there, the Latimers are there, and that type of stuff. And Ellie's son is like coming out of the bathroom, and like Jodie Whittaker just says, "Can I have a hug?" Just because she misses her fucking son. And she hugs him because she misses hugging Danny. And it's like such a fucking sweet moment. Like, of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You can understand completely where she is coming from. And then later in the same episode, we find out that David Bradley was doing the exact same thing because he lost his boy. And
they make us pay for that in the finale as well.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Which is just like that hugging motif that comes about.
Yeah.
Like, oh my lord, I was not prepared for how much that would just a simple gesture would have eviscerate me.
Yeah.
But no, I think with David Bradley's character, like, you're right. It really does kind of make you as an audience reframe your stereotypes and the way you look at people and judge them immediately. I think, like, it's very easy to assume. Right, people say this, right, and they go, "Oh, dirty old pedo."
Yeah.
And like when you think of like a creep and a predator, you tend to typically think of these old men.
Yeah.
And these gross, greasy old men. And, love David Bradley as I do. He's old and he's thinning, right?
Yeah.
He fits the bill.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. It was an intentional casting choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so they've obviously played up on that very much so.
Yeah.
And then like, not to get too far down the line, but it really recontextualizes, all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, definitely.
And people and places and circumstances. And I don't know, man, this kind of, I've got the note as well about that hug moment and how when it was revealed he was basically just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And vilified for it in what is such an obviously, like, maybe not apparently obvious, but it's only not apparently obvious because you view him as this dirty old man.
Yeah.
Anyone could have been in that corridor while Beth did the same thing with that other little boy.
Yeah.
And they would have been like, that's so sad.
Yeah. No, absolutely no one would have been like, "Oh, Beth's a pedo." Like,
yeah, exactly.
There is not a single fucking person who would have seen that as any kind of inappropriate, at all.
And
Yeah.
it's also like, I understand the age difference is a thing. The age difference. Well, actually, while we're on David Bradley, I wanted to talk about the reoccurring age difference plot line that goes on in this.
Well, that's another thing in regards to like David Bradley, because the daughter of the Latimer family, she's like very quick to be like, "Oh, pedo, like dirty old pedo."
Look at your man.
Exactly. She's with Grey Worm.
Look at Grey Worm.
Yeah, she's with Grey Worm, who, like, in the first episode, there's a very clear line where Grey Worm says to her, like, "You haven't told anyone because, you're not 16 yet." Like, so, like, they're having sex, and he's 17. It's not, like, the same thing, really.
But by law, that's wrong. But then also, that's not amped up as this villainous performance or this he's not a stereotypically evil bloke.
No,
when push comes to shove, when push comes to shove, he seems like an understanding boyfriend that wants to try and help as best he can. And like, you're immature at that age. You will make stupid fucking decisions at that age. And I think, like,
of course,
it's important to go into this because there are certain terminally online people that would watch this show and be like, "Bad, that's bad." Yeah. And it's like, but people are more complicated than black and white, bad and good, and
exactly.
And it's really. I also think it's kind of the way this show dances in and around to that and paints certain characters as good people that have done things that he'll look back and go, "Nah, I shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
But like, it's quite brave in that sense, where it's happy to show real people and not paint them as cartoonish villains. It's not lost on me that it's consistently brought up that Beth was 15 when she met her husband,
who was older as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just the entire time and it should have been so fucking obvious what was going on. But looking back on it, just this continuous bringing up of and this relevancy of age and inappropriate age gaps and how sometimes good, sometimes bad, always slightly immoral.
Yeah.
But some with ill intention and some with, I should have known better, but I meant well.
Yeah, like, it on paper, not great, but you can't always help who you fall in love with. And sometimes that can be understandable, and sometimes that can be, no, you need serious help. Like,
and that's a key thing that comes up as well, right? Because we won't get to the end yet. But that's another argument you can have.
It was Lawrence. He did it.
No, it's true, yeah. No, but that is another argument you can have. David Tennant has a point about not putting a label on someone specific.
Yeah.
Because it fits the bill way more as a sad man that needs help.
Yeah.
Than someone who sought out to do bad things.
Definitely. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from David Bradley, let's talk about him killing himself if you want to.
Oh, well, that was... I don't know if there's much more to say. It's just horrible, really.
I think the only thing I would say is, again, it fits that so quick to become a mob. mentality.
100%. Yeah, and
This town that have been
for the
buying his
wrong
newspapers
reason.
for 20 years or whatever.
Exactly, and a mob for the wrong reasons as well. It's a mob who thinks they're doing the right thing, but they're just making things so much fucking worse for everyone. And
you get that with David Tennant. He's like, this is why you don't talk to the fucking press.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then even then, it gets like everyone has someone above them where it's manipulated. Like Ollie and the journalist who's followed David Tennant from Sandbrook, Karen. They write their piece, and it's seemingly it's not an attack piece, but it's pointing a finger.
Yeah.
But then the media takes it and goes and basically replaces the headline with "dirty pedo."
Basically, yeah.
For lack of a better term, and they intentionally provoke things because that's what the media does. It twists things and it points fingers.
Yeah.
And then obviously that doesn't help the police in any way, shape, or form because and then everyone just kind of turns and goes, "I actually think I did see an old man around about Danny's area," and it's like, "No, you didn't."
yeah, exactly. The way like people are saying like, the whole fucking mob mentality of that episode, like. Everyone, like, it makes a point quite a few times to have people be like, well, we don't know it's him. And then they say, well, we don't know it's not. So, like, better to fucking...
Let's kill everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where do you draw the fucking line there?
I know it wasn't me, so I'm going to kill you all, except me.
It's awful as well. I also think this is a little bit different, but, like, there's a fucking... Cool. Like we kind of joke around with it and that kind of stuff, but like really fucking accusing someone of that kind of stuff is fucking horrendous because because the effect and it's one of the worst things a person can do, really. And it can completely turn someone's life around. So
even if it's not true as well.
Yeah. So you really have to be fucking sure with that kind of stuff. It's not something you can just throw around. And this is why, like, I get so fucking pissed off with the fucking right-wing crowd, like, calling, like, fucking, like, drag artists and trans people, like, pedophiles and groomers. And it's so fucking abhorrent and disgusting. And it's, like, it's people trying to make the world a more inclusive place. And they're just, like, pedophiles and groomers and all this kind of stuff. And it boils my blood. It really does.
Yeah, no, that is the thing as well, because people throw shit out so fucking willy-nilly now, especially with social media, and I know this is a bit before all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Twitter does play a small part, but it's
Bloody Twitter.
Yeah, it's more of a mob mentality in a physical, dangerous, tangible way.
Yeah.
Rather than a million fucking neckbeards having a scream behind their screens.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, genuinely fucking heartbreaking arc, and what I think is just the irony of it all and the kind of icing on the cake is like his funeral is filled with the people that yesterday were calling him a pedo.
Exactly. Yeah, and his wake is filled with the same people having a drink and a laugh and like not fully understanding that like they killed him. Really.
No, yeah, they're just completely willfully ignorant about the whole scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I like that brilliant scene where Father Rory just grills them and says like we have a responsibility and we failed this man.
Yeah.
That was a great scene, laying it, and then again that has a ripple effect because he's laying into people, and then it's like, why were you so passionate about that? And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to toe the line and be a good bloke.
I like Father Rory.
I like Father Rory too. I think he's a
complex
like a nice character.
Yeah. He seems like a decent enough person. So.
Yeah, and also like just an interesting putting the kind of the symbol of God and the mouthpiece of people's faith. As a young man is quite a refreshing change.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when so easily they could have made the old man and the priest pedo character the same thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's what you'd traditionally think of, really.
Yeah, that's the stereotype that would fit,
exactly.
And it would be a less interesting show for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Who's next on the board? Who's next on our list?
Who is next?
I guess we've got the woman that owns the dog.
Yes. So, what was her name? Susan Wright, was it?
That sounds familiar, but it is also an alias, I think, as well.
Yeah, her name was something else beforehand. But yeah. And she's like, as the show goes on, like we see that she's got some like shifty shit going on with Nige, which we don't quite get the full understanding of at first. We just know.
And as it turns out, nor does Nige.
No, yeah, there's just something going on. Like we see whenever they come across each other, it's immediately quite aggressive, and he's like, "Leave me alone," and she's like, "I've got a dog," or whatever.
Yeah, I've got a dog.
I've got this dog. He's
great dog.
What a lovely dog, man.
What a lovely dog that is completely unaware that all of this is unfolding.
This dog goes through so much, man. He's like involved in a murder case, and he's just like happily walking about.
He's just in the back of a van asleep, and meanwhile he doesn't understand that he's like fucking Broadchurch's most wanted.
He's got a crossbow aimed at him at one point, and
he's like, "Oh, what's that?"
Poor little guy.
This is one of the most interesting subplots for me.
Definitely, 100%.
Because I think, again, the show does what every good whodunit should do and starts laying down clues for as to why it could be anyone.
Yeah.
And one that it leans most heavily on, I think, is this woman. And down to the penultimate episode, you're like, oh, it's a lock. She did it.
And there's a fucking clear reason why they did this as well.
Yeah. And I think how that all plays out with she's kind of fleeing from a previous relationship. And she is the mother of a child who was taken away from her, and also a child who was... Oh, that's a big measure.
I know, I didn't mean to do it quite that long.
That's like a 5-shot situation. She's a really interesting character. She's fleeing from a prior relationship where there's a lot of bad faith and bad baggage surrounding her name. A lot of people either happy to point the finger directly at her or at least call her an accomplice in the murder of her own child, as well as the taking away of her other child because she was deemed an unfit mother.
So her husband was having sex with her daughter, and then tried to have sex with the younger daughter, but was it the older daughter who got killed? I think.
Yeah, I think it was the older daughter who got killed because she tried to put a stop to that.
Yeah, she tried to like protect her little sister, and because of that, he got angry and killed her, basically. Which horrendous, fucking horrendous stuff.
But then again, this is the kind of shit that like this is why I enjoy characters that are expressed like this, right? Because this is the kind of shit you do read in a newspaper.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does happen.
Yeah, and you forget about it, and like it just comes up in every. But what I think this does really, really well is it shows you how people's lives will forever be wrapped up in their past.
Yeah,
like this is not a murder case that she is involved in any way.
Yeah,
she has one contribution to it, and even that is based on wrong evidence.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's here means that anywhere she lives for the rest of her life, and there could be, I mean, hopefully she's not this unlucky, but anywhere she lives for the rest of her life, if there's something bad that happens there, her name will be brought up because of what had happened prior.
Yeah.
And again, something that I think the show...
She'll be looked into, and then once they find out her past, then there'll be questions as to why, like, you know, she didn't act more quickly, or she didn't do whatever she could to protect, and that type of stuff. And I think the most heartbreaking thing about it is like when Ellie is questioning her, not even when she's questioning, like after the interview process, Ellie like says to her, "How could you not know? How could you not know that was happening in your own home?" And then, spoiler alert, we find out it's Joe, Ellie's husband, and it's such a fucking knife twist. And then to have what was that?
What, me?
Oh, that was my phone. And then to have to fucking twist the knife even further, we then have Beth say the exact same thing to Ellie right at the end. And it's so fucking brutal.
It's flawless logic, but again, it reframes something.
Yeah.
Like, how could she have known? And this is the same. This is the same kind of burden that she's always. This Susan Wright character has always been fucking called on shit by the police, right? For this kind of thing, she's been called an accomplice to it. It's never been proven because it turns out it was fucking not true.
Yeah.
But she has every single person pointing their nose up at her and going, "You must have known. You must have known something."
There's no way you couldn't have known. But like, of course there is. There's a number of ways. Like, it's this is the thing when it's like when you say like it brings out the worst in people, it really does, because people just want to make sense of things and they just want the simplest answer and to see things in black and white and to quickly get it resolved. Like, throughout the series, you have like people going, "Well, ain't you found him yet? Why ain't you found him? Like, we're trying to run businesses and like, hurry up." And it's like, this isn't just a rock up. Oh, here he is. We got him. Fucking case closed, boys.
It would be very easy if you can have a town meeting and then just go, "Who did it?" And they go, "Fair fucks, it was me."
Fair one, boys. Fair cop.
Well, you asked, and I'm a truthful man.
Exactly. People want just a simple solution and to just quickly get it over with. But like, these things are so fucking complicated and take so much time to properly find the right answer and to do things properly and to make sure the family gets like the justice they need and all that kind of stuff. And it's really just like you say, bringing out the worst in everyone around them.
What I love about that time that it takes as well is the lack of clarity, because each day that goes past is another day where people are just twisting the knives in their own relationships. And
true.
Pointing fingers at their friends and their loved ones. And I think Susan Wright has obviously now been through that twice.
Yeah.
She's now been accused of 2 fucking murders of small children.
Yeah.
And one of them being her own. This is the same thing as now, imagine Beth moves away and then someone points the finger at Beth and goes, "You."
Yeah.
Like, it's not something you want to deal with, and I get how completely mistrusting of the police she is because of how much they failed her last time.
Yeah.
And again, narratively, from a narrative standpoint, I love how that's framed as, why is she not cooperating with the police? Because we're looking at the police going, that's Olivia Colman, she's one of the good guys.
Yeah, David Tennant's a bit of a prick, but he's trying to do the right thing.
But at least he's well intentioned. But then, in her perspective, anyone in a suit is just a prick. Stay away from me.
Yeah.
And again, it's just, oh my God, how everyone is interconnected, and it takes this small town of people that know each other, and it really just flips them all. They all do know each other, and they know which ones they don't fucking like and don't want to speak to. Brilliant character. I think I'd imagine this gets expanded on. I hope it does. I'm very interested in it, but I wouldn't like you to confirm it.
Okay.
Is that relationship with who? I guess she's almost certain. I don't know if it's 100% locked in that this Nige fella is her son who was taken away from her.
I can tell you now if you want to know.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know if it's expanded on more, but is it definite? Is that her son?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's pretty much confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was, but I didn't know if it was like 100% lock in or if it was just a. Because she's also got her own trauma, and there might be a bit of wishful thinking there.
Yeah, it's true. She does, yeah.
But I like that he is just he. Let's just talk about Nige as well. He is another character that is on the suspect list, and even though Ellie, played by Olivia Colman, has that amazing like stop pissing around.
Yeah.
Where were you actually? But he's covering for his best mate, who turns out to honestly, in good faith, be his best mate, his business partner, the dad of the murdered boy.
Yeah.
But you get hints that this man is not like he's the don't come into school tomorrow kid.
Yeah. Well, he's got some quirks, isn't he? He's
pointing a crossbow at a dog.
yeah. He's he's not a bad person, but not a.
He hasn't done anything yet.
No,
he's
exactly.
on the path.
He's and that's what kind of like makes it really interesting, like with like Susan's relationship with him, because like she wanted to like initially protect him and stuff, but then she like had this line where she was saying that like to protect him she needs to like tell the truth, and because she sees like a bald-headed guy bringing in the body and mistakes it for him, initially.
I was so fucking angry when I didn't. I didn't think maybe that could possibly be one other bald man who looks the same as this guy.
Yeah, quite well done. Yeah, and like she says, like the right thing to do is like to protect him as well, to make sure he doesn't turn out even more like his dad. And because she calls him. She says he's got the devil in him, or he's like the spitting image of him, or something like that.
Yeah, like she can see him in his eyes.
Yeah,
and like that's like everyone inherits traits from like. I see a lot of people often talk about like as they get older, they compare themselves more to their dad, and like men often do turn into an echo of their dad. You know, saying the same phrases their dad always said to them, and enjoying the same habits, or albeit kind of sticking to some sort of a similar daily routine situation.
So I'll tell you now, I have never really been a big whiskey drinker. My dad is a big whiskey drinker.
This podcast begs to differ the last couple of weeks.
Well, yeah. The last few weeks I've been enjoying a little whiskey more and more, and my dad enjoys a whiskey, so hey, there we go.
You're kissing 30 on the precipice of your youth. You go,
exactly. Yeah.
Time to connect with my father. No, but like I love that because there's guilty aspersions cast upon him.
Yeah,
and like they're not entirely justified, but we can see in his private moments that he's not everything he says to be. And David Tennant has this phenomenal line about you don't really know people's heart. You can't know someone truly. You never ever know. You can know someone extremely well. But you never know what's going on and who they truly are.
It's true. That is true.
Which is fucked. And I think that's a terrifying thought.
That is terrifying, really. Yeah.
Like, I'm a real nasty guy and I hate you.
No.
But here I am. Anyway. No, but it's one of them lines that it sticks with you. And he has this fucking incredible line later on where, like, I think nefarious people with hidden agendas like that, these people that present themselves as very like, oh, that's my best mate.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just two plumbers going around and being good guys. Like, this guy that presents himself as a very fancy a beer in the pub, he's a very run-of-the-mill average bloke.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he's hiding this thing, this kind of rage or this insecurity inside of him quite deeply, and he's more comfortable with expressing it when he's privately alone and everything else. But then he has this fucking incredible line, and it's so... If you were just turning on the TV, you would think nothing of it. But at the end, when they can finally mourn Danny and have his funeral in his wake, he walks up to the dad, Mark. He walks up to the dad of the murdered boy, and says, "You didn't ever really think I had anything to do with it, did you?" And he goes, "Nah, mate, nah, don't worry about it, you're fine." And that's such a nothing moment. But this man, this bald guy, right, he is just desperate to understand how people view him. Did he let the mask slip at any point? Do people know what is in his heart? It's great, fucking really interesting character.
Joe Miller is the killer.
Joe Miller.
Not Joe Miller from The Last of Us.
No,
that's Joel Miller.
That's Joel Miller, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's not that.
Yeah. There's also an Ellie in this, but that's also not the same character.
Yeah, no, that is true. All right. So, did you at any point in your list of suspects in your little detective's notebook that you had throughout the series, did Joe Miller's name, ever get scribbled down?
Not organically. The only time I ever suspected him was when David Tennant had already started to telegraph that it might have been. Like, there were certain little things about him always pulling his son away from questioning.
There was one great moment where David Tennant is questioning his son once again for like the second time, I believe. And it doesn't quite go that well because David gets a bit aggressive in his line of questioning, and Joe has to take his son out. And then as they're leaving, he says to Tom that he'll need to do a DNA test before he goes. And then he asks him for his shoe size. And at this point, they already know that the killer wears a size 10. So that he just asks him for his shoe size. He says 5. And then he asks Joe, who at this point has never once been in question, has never been a suspect, has never been questioned, just seemingly absent-mindedly just goes, "What about you, Joe? What's your foot size?" And he just goes, 10. And then there's just a beat where it's like interesting. But David Tennant already knows at that point. He's already kind of got it figured out. But there's just a beat for us, the audience, where it's like, huh, interesting. Yeah.
It's genuinely, looking back on it, this is why I genuinely think this is a perfect whodunit, right?
Yeah.
It's so fucking blatantly clear. It's so obvious, right? He's the only other bald man, and Nige keeps denying this was him.
It's so obvious once you have all the evidence and can look back on it. But, like, watching through from the beginning, you're not like, oh, it was Joe, clearly.
No, but there's other little things where, like, he's one of the only people that doesn't get grilled by David Tennant. He's one of the only people that doesn't get called in for questioning, and
because he has no reason to. Because that's why it works. He has no, he's got an alibi. He has no motive. He's got like no real reason for anyone to suspect him.
And it's early in the season, and he's fucking trusted. He's Ellie's husband. Like, he's just a person that you wouldn't look twice at. And also, I think the show treats him like that as well. It has this incredible thing where he is as much of a character as he needs to be for it to still be a competent reveal.
Yeah.
But he's also a character that is sort of underdeveloped and not very fleshed out, because he is literally his only purpose in any other TV show. Yeah. And the TV show he's in up until the last episode, his only purpose is to flesh out Ellie's home life a little bit.
Yeah.
Is to give us just that tiny slice of life of what Ellie's life is like outside of her job, and that's it.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's... Oh my God. I can't tell you how long I waited for that. When that scene finally came up and
Great scene, by the way. The way it, like, it's David Tennant following the phone signal and that type of stuff. And
he just doesn't want to walk down that fucking road.
Yeah. And the way even beforehand, like, he was being really nice to Ellie, which, like... red flag immediately. Like, the way he was like, no, you've done a good job on this, Miller. And it was like, what are you doing? That's not you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and he has a line about how he goes, I really wished it wasn't him. I'm so sorry. I really wish that. Well, hang on. If we're going to talk about, let's talk about the reveal as well. Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
She's won an Oscar, but she should have won it for this. She should. What's the TV Oscar? The Emmy?
American TV is Emmys. British TV is you can get a BAFTA for British TV.
I don't know if she won anything or was nominated, but the scene of her finding out
would have been, very good.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible the way she kind of convulses in on herself and is almost sick, but can't bring it to be sick. Before she gets the chance to be sick, she's fucking pissed off. And then before she gets too pissed off, she's in disbelief. And what I think is so good about that scene of Ellie confronting her husband, she goes, I want to see him.
Yeah.
She walks in. There's all these rules, obviously. You can't touch him. You can't do anything that would jeopardize a conviction on this guy. You can't do any of that. But she goes, I understand. And it's where this... I just... Narratively, it's the perfect fucking meeting point for her dilemma of being, I know these guys, and I should do my job properly. Mm. And, like, when it comes down to her literally questioning the person she thought she knew the best. And you as an audience member, you want this scene. You want this battle of words. You want his reasoning. You almost want him to defend himself so that you can justifiably watch her get more pissed off at him.
Yeah.
But you don't get that. You get maybe 20 seconds of back and forth, and then she just fucking unleashes and just starts kicking him. And again, it's a subversion of what we want in a TV show, but it's what real people would do.
Yeah.
Like, you would just have nothing but uncontrollable rage.
How do you feel about her? How do you feel about her hitting him like that and just kind of losing it a little?
I see. It's troublesome because again, it's one of them things where it's real, and I can't say I can't say I would have done things differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when someone that you know the most in the world, someone that you've literally committed your life to, turns out to be harboring such a secret that also it's also a secret that would in your mind invalidate your entire relationship with that person.
Yeah.
It's not just he was cheating on me with another woman. he was cheating on me in this unforgivable way, and also it kind of leads her to believe that there is no attraction to her whatsoever. She is just there for him.
Yeah.
To be a cover, and
then makes her worry about her own children as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then and again, I think this ties into all of the other stuff with Ellie. Ellie is constantly pushed outside of success in place of a man. Right? She'll never be. I don't know again about season 2 or 3, but as far as I can tell from the end of season 1, she'll never be taken seriously in this town as a detective ever. And as you know, even so far as the first episode, she's ready to step into her new office. Oh, there's a man there. Oh, it's a man here, and he didn't earn this job. He actually lost the last case he was on, but he's better than you, so he's here. And it's like, I don't know, man. I just think all of that, because I think it comes with 8 episodes of her ideology and her mindset being just completely wiped away in 1 second.
Yeah.
And I think she's lost. She'll lose friends. She'll lose the father of her children. She'll lose her husband. She'll lose any sense of trust that she could develop with anyone else. And yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I can certainly see why. From an outsider perspective, I don't think it's the best choice to make. But I can certainly see why she did it.
What do you think in terms of the case? Like, because David Tennant says to her, like,
don't do that.
Yeah.
It's going to fuck shit up. I would imagine so. And I also think, I don't know if that will come from him. I think it might be something lawyers lean on. And lawyers push for, maybe there's more avenues of kind of exploring this internalized sexism, like an emotional woman outburst of emotion and all of this stuff, which is obviously bollocks. Yeah, I don't know. What I've learned is the writing is too clever in this show for there to be a line that didn't mean something.
Yeah.
And
well,
that line,
to be fair, they didn't know they would get a season 2 because it was kind of unexpected how much this show blew up.
And it doesn't. So, I questioned you about this earlier in the week, and I kind of don't want to know too much, but it almost it doesn't lead you to believe there should be a season 2. It kind of feels like a one and done.
It kind of does. Yeah, it kind of does close itself at the end a little bit.
Yeah. The case is shut. The whole season. Excuse me. The whole season has been the case, and the case is now closed.
But once you see where season 2 goes, you can understand why.
I'm gonna binge it all tomorrow.
But I will say that, you know, I won't spoil anything, but I will say that actions have consequences, and you know, this is not a storyline that is forgotten about. So yeah.
Incredible.
So where to go now?
I got hella notes.
All right, hit me.
Before we move on from Joe, again, the subversion thing that I've been banging on about, I do think it's a really interesting and a refreshing look, which is maybe a weird way to put it, but you'll see what I'm getting at. That Joe never actually physically abused Danny.
No.
He's not, and I said this earlier with David Bradley, he's not a cartoonishly mustache-twirling evil paedophile. And
it was a strangely almost mutual relationship in that, like don't get me wrong, like Danny was definitely like fucking groomed and manipulated in certain respects and that type of stuff. But
disclaimer here: when we say mutual, it is without it. We are acknowledging that consent is a very necessary part of a mutual agreement.
100%. But Danny, like, he wanted to have a relationship, not in like a fucking.
He wanted someone to talk to.
Yeah, he wanted a friend. He wanted, like, he liked meeting up with Joe and you know, and having a father figure who he could actually talk to and that kind of stuff in his life.
Yeah.
But
who was present and who also, coming from Joe's advances were obviously far more sweet and compassionate in a twisted way, but Danny wouldn't presume that.
By the way, great fucking scene when once their family finds out, once Alec goes and tells them, and they find out it's Joe, and then Mark just fucks off. He just gets up and leaves and just like goes to the beach and just fucking screams to himself, and it's it's heartbreaking and it's understandable. And then, you know, there's a scene where he goes to confront Joe himself, which is all them all. It's almost funny the way like the fucking hatch opens and you see the terrified look on Joe's face as he sees Mark there. It's like it's almost funny if it wasn't so like fucking just brutal and heartbreaking at the same time.
And that's the thing. You look back on this character who is like, and again, this is why I think the show is so clever, because, like I say, he's not a mustache twirling evil old dirty pedo. He's not a stereotype. He's a family man with a son of his own, the same age.
Yeah,
he's the husband of the local town sheriff, right? It's not like, this is not the person you would point the finger at, but he's also not. You know, when it's revealed, there's no, ha ha ha, you finally caught me.
Yeah,
I'm an evil nonce. Like, it's not that. It's, like, David Tennant is actually more measured and calm with him than he is with half of the fucking innocent people.
It's true, yeah.
And he just goes, I don't understand it. And he goes, I'm in love with him. I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Joe doesn't understand it himself, which is another big thing. He doesn't understand his own feelings about it, and, like, he's probably rightfully quite scared, and like, I don't know, it's strange.
Something else that the show touched on that I think is brought up in that scene as well is the selfishness of men, right? When you're lustful for someone, certain men will take, and they'll be selfish, and they won't think of the consequences.
Yeah.
And later on, you know, it's telegraphed to us when Mark has his affair, and she goes, 15 years of our life, you threw it away. You looked at a picture of our kids, and you thought, I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
Right? You just fucked some other woman, and that's how you've gone about life. You're so selfish. You don't think of anyone but yourself. And that's exactly what Joe has done in this scenario, but it comes with the connotations of, like, when Joe starts to, because he makes a point of saying, I never physically touched him, and you know that's true because he actually says that to Danny in a flashback, which is a private moment.
Yeah.
Right? I never touched you, you know that. But it was headed there, right? He's being groomed.
David Tennant at one point, he has a line like, just because he never touched him doesn't mean that he never would have. Like, it doesn't mean it wouldn't have gotten to that point eventually. Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, man. It's this fucking, it's incredible. Like, the way that reveal is handled, and like, I just think a testament to the writing and the drama of it all, that it's just not, it's real, and it feels so honest, and it feels so refreshing to just see what is a man who had made some terrible choices.
Yeah.
But could have been rehabilitated if he wasn't such a fucking selfish individual.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to the pity of man got caught doing wrong. He cries, and he kind of, I don't think he feigns these tears, but it's this kind of male right that people, you know, think that they're born with, that they can cry a few tears, shed a few tears, and it will forgive the unforgivable, because I'm sad and confused and I don't know what's going on. But actually,
I didn't mean it.
Yeah, but in actual fact, you're a twisted individual, and you calculated, and every step of the way you had ill intent, bribing Danny with money, giving Danny a second phone. It was all headed, all the clues are there, and just because he presents as, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, I don't know what came over me, it doesn't mean it's, you don't know what's in anyone's heart. It just sums it up perfectly.
True. Very true.
What a fucking series, man. What a fucking...
I told you. I've been telling you. It's good stuff. Is there anything else that you want to go over?
Nothing more serious than that, I don't think. I like the... there's a good kind of moment with when Jodie Whittaker goes to the Sandbrook victim mother.
Oh, yes.
And she just has this again another subversion. You expect it. You tend to expect these typical. Yeah, she'll be devastated and she'll be heartbroken, but she's a lot further along in her journey of grief.
Yeah.
So you expect it to be, you know, some counselling. It does get easier day by day. You look for the things to stay positive about. But Jodie Whittaker asks her how she coped with it, and she goes, "I go to bed. I watch TV, but I can't watch anything that has a girl in it. I cry and I go to bed.
Yeah.
I don't eat, I wake up and I do the same thing." And it's just that look on Jodie Whittaker's face, kind of acknowledging what her future will be without her son, is just like, if the show didn't already make you feel like she was stuck in time, like fuck me, dude. Like her performance again, and Jodie Whittaker I think is such a special performer because she has this ability to almost appear hardened and stoic, but have this incredible vulnerability in her eyes where it completely is like, people always say like the eyes is the door to the soul, and it really, you get it with her.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of great Jodie Whittaker scenes, one that always sticks out to me is the one where she goes shopping. She just like goes to like fucking Tesco or whatever just to try to take her mind off things, get a few things for the house, and everyone is just staring at her because because they've seen the news and they know what's happened, and it's a small community and everyone knows everyone, and it's just like she's trying to just take her mind off this horrible thing for just 5 minutes and do something ordinary, and she can't even do that. She can't go and get some fucking crisps without having everyone give her like sympathetic looks and like
she's become an event
exactly
more than a person now.
Yeah, she's a story rather than an actual person. It's heartbreaking.
I also quite like that there are false flags that are almost exactly what you think they should be, but the show and the fact that it's shot with a camera and there's music, it makes you feel a certain way. Danny's Ellie's son, who was Danny's best friend, the only other like 11-year-old boy there.
Yeah.
Right. He's smashing up his laptop. He's asking from day one. He's asking shady questions of like, things are deleted, right? When they're deleted, and people are like, no, there's hard drive backups and everything else.
You see him delete messages off his phone from Danny and that type of stuff.
Yeah. And you know instinctively, school kids are dumb.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's the fucking you go on Xbox Live and you go kill yourself, right? Like, that's just what kids fucking do. And all along I knew it would be that.
Yeah.
But it's a testament to the show that anyone is a suspect, even this 11-year-old boy, that actually seriously for a minute there made me think, could he have done anything to do with this?
Yeah.
No. He's an idiot that sent a message like kill yourself, and then again terrible timing, he ends up dead the next day.
Yeah.
Anything to say about Ollie and Karen?
Not much, to be honest.
The least interesting, I think.
Yeah, there is like stuff to be said about like how the media can swirl things up and and make stuff worse. But then I don't know, that message kind of gets a little bit muddled at times as well, though, because it kind of seems like they don't fully commit to that idea, because then
sometimes it's bad and sometimes it's the paragon of truth and justice.
Exactly. They kind of want to have it like the best of both ways, really. They're like, we're the media, we have a responsibility to report the truth and to work with the police and to do everything by the book. But then it's like, but like get this pedo and like
this guy's a dirty pedo, go kill him.
And like they try to do both ways, and I don't know if it necessarily works, really.
I found Karen far more interesting in the earlier episodes because it felt manipulative and it felt twist the knife a little bit. It felt like she went and picked up the little bear from the flower display and arrangement for Danny in Danny's memory. Yeah, and she went back and she went, I don't want to talk to any media, and she went no, of course not. I just wanted to give you this, building trust and a kind of a low level grooming in itself, just disabling a child's fucking safety perimeter so that you can get what you want. And like that, when that kind of came about and when that was revealed that she actually was like, I actually really want the truth for these families, I was like, that feels less manipulative now, and it just kind of feels like it does feel like a muddled message. Yeah. I do like that at the end that Ollie does realign his priorities, instead of taking the job and writing the killer story and all of this, he actually just arrives at this shitty fucking hotel room to play with what I think is his nephew, or his cousin.
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 Younger cousin.
Yeah, it's his cousin. Yeah. And he just arrives and he just like immediately drops any kind of facade or persona or professional capacity and just immediately goes like, "Oh, what you got there, mate?" And like just tries to distract his cousin from this horrible thing. Yeah,
definitely. A nice guy in the end, really.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is kind of on the filmmaking side of it, and it's not much, but it's typically these things are shot in a way that makes you that is very, we're pushed for time, and we talk about it a lot on our other podcast. But typically, like kind of low level BBC and ITV kind of stuff is shot in a way that's like, get what we need and get the fuck home.
Yeah.
And it's thrown together in an edit. Normally, it's saved by some music. This has, and I found out that I didn't write the guy's name down. But this is shot by a first time cinematographer. This is the first project he's worked on as the lead camera operator.
Yeah.
And it's fucking insane. It's understated, but there's this kind of like stoic and static feel to it that is very time is stood still.
Matt Gray.
Yeah, well, he's great. And there is this stoic, static feel where like time feels like it's standing still until there's a development in the case, in which case it gets very handheld. A lot of David Tennant's stuff is very erratic.
Yeah.
And one thing that I loved throughout the show, just interesting shots, was there's always probably the best one is Ellie standing in the field alone by herself on the green across from the family of the victims. And it's just, there tends to be shots of characters, especially when they're feeling isolated and alone, where they either have loads of room to the left, loads of room to the right, or loads of room above them.
Yeah.
And it's just this incredible way of, it's a simple technique, but it's consistent throughout the show, and the show I feel like has an identity and a voice with the camera work.
Interestingly enough, I've just pulled him up on IMDb. He also shot the Star Beast, the Doctor Who special.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Good on you.
Yeah, it was really well made, I think, in terms of a filmmaking perspective. It's like it utilizes a lot of like slow motion, but like it's not like fucking.
It's
like
almost
Zack
comical
Snyder.
at a certain point.
No, I don't think it ever falls into that like Snyder-esque motion where it's slow motion for the sake of slow motion. It's like it's atmospheric and it's to set a mood and it's like to give you like an understanding of like how the characters are feeling and that kind of stuff. It's never just like why not have slow motion? You know, there's a purpose behind it in terms of a narrative, which
narratively it's like this case is moving too slowly. Shit won't move on quick enough. Like whenever David Tennant seems to hit a lull or like a wall in his case, it slows down for him as he's fucked off by it. He's hit a wall. He's come up against a slowing resistance.
Yeah.
It is very purposeful. It was. There were some moments where I was like, "Fucking, that's like the fifth time this episode." But no. But anyway, like we say with well-made British stuff, naturally the Americans did it worse.
Yeah. So I was going to ask if you had heard of Grace Point.
I have only heard of Grace Point because after Broadchurch was finished, I was keen to see some general reception and see how it. Now that I could freely Google Broadchurch without fear of immediate spoilers, and I came across a YouTube video that was called Grace Point, the most pointless show to ever exist.
Did you watch it?
I watched the first like 2 minutes of it because then it said it's going to deal with some spoiler stuff, and I was like, I can't trust that not to be season 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But
I've seen that video previously, but
yeah, and it's because I saw the thing and I didn't even know it was Broadchurch necessarily, but I saw like David Tennant was in it and Anna Gunn, and I was like, that looks really similar to what the fuck?
Yeah, because it is.
It's a shot-for-shot remake of Broadchurch.
I'm not kidding. It is a shot-for-shot. I've not seen it, but like I watched the trailer once I finished Broadchurch today. And watch that trailer, and there is not a single difference between like what happens in the show and what happens in that. And it's just like it's interesting because like at what point can you say you've written that show?
Yeah, you
know,
can't.
like you can't. Like
you've transcribed it.
Even the directing choices are the same. Like literally, when I say shot for shot, I mean shot for shot. Like it is the exact fucking same.
Yeah.
And
it seems horribly cast as well. Like,
yeah, Michael Pena is
what
in
the fuck is that?
Yeah, as Mark Latimer. Yeah, I don't know. It seems right, and you have David Tennant just essentially playing the same role twice, but now he's got an American accent.
Yeah, and I love Tennant, and he's great at accents, but not that one.
Yeah, I can't understand why he did. Well, probably for the bag and like fair play, but like
Yeah,
I don't know.
He'd finished Doctor Who at this point, and he was buying himself a house.
I think he already had a house.
Oh, he probably had a house, but he probably bought another one in Spain or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, that whole concept of American remakes is baffling to me anyway.
Yeah.
Just make good shit. America makes some of the best fucking TV around.
Yeah.
Right? Like America, the boom of the golden age of TV, like that happened in the kind of early, like around like the early 2010s.
Breaking Bad and
like
the
Game of
first
Thrones
season of The Walking
and-
Dead and Game of Thrones. And
Yeah, like that really brought about the golden age of TV. And if you look at it, the BBC, the British people had almost no stake in that game.
yeah.
It was almost exclusively monopolized by American networks like HBO and AMC and everything else. And like
We had Coronation Street.
we had Coronation Street.
We had EastEnders.
We done had Coronation Street, Nathan. That's been historic. But like, yeah, man, I don't know. Just make your own fucking shit. It always sucks.
Yeah, it seems so fucking bizarre, especially because like by the time this came out, I don't know when it was, but it was like well after The Office had finished, and like The Office like famously is like the one British adaptation was worked specifically because they decided, oh no, the first season wasn't that well revered because we just did the same thing.
Yeah.
So let's change it and do something different and not just do the exact same thing that the British show did. And
and it
actually,
ran for like 9 successful seasons because of that choice.
and is like one of the most like fucking well revered comedy shows of all time because of it as well.
It's like, I don't know, man. Like, is it the accent? Like, we watch your shit. Like, why don't you just watch ours?
I cannot think of a yeah, and exactly that's the thing. There's no fucking need for it. Just watch Broadchurch. Like it's not as if like Broadchurch is some unknown show as well. Like it's very popular. There is no reason why, as an American, you cannot just watch Broadchurch and enjoy it. Like just buy the fucking rights to it and air it on Fox or whatever.
Yeah.
Why do you need to make your own version but then change nothing other than it's set in America?
It screams like tax write-off, right? Like it screams money laundering or something.
Everything screams
I
money laundering.
I think it just screamed. You know when you have a surplus in the budget and you need to spend it, otherwise they're going to take it from you next time.
Yeah.
It feels like that, and that
I just
probably
think
explains David Tennant.
I just think it screams bad creative decision, which is what happens a lot with these type of stuff. But yeah, I just can't understand. I think the age of like American adaptations and stuff is over. We're a lot more of a global sort of
The world, I guess, the world is more connected now with streaming services.
Exactly. Yeah, like shows like you have like, you know, like House of the Dragon, which is like technically an American show, but 99% of the cast are British and like from British TV shows and like from like, and they was able to film during the strike because like none of the actors are fucking SAG members because they're British actors.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
It is good, and I like that I do like this kind of general consensus that Sky went enough.
Yeah.
We'll air your shit, you air ours.
Yeah.
Like I have had enough of this.
Yeah. Famously, the In-Betweeners American version.
Oh
is
my god, yeah.
awful.
That's
Yeah.
unwatchable.
I don't think it ever happens the other way, does it? We never kind of go.
There's
we'll
probably
do.
a very small sub-community in America that know it does, and there's probably some stuff. There has to be.
I don't know if there is. There's nothing I can think of that's like.
It'd be like
we'll do
minor
a version of
shit that we don't watch.
Maybe like fucking like game shows and reality shows and shit, but like nothing that's actually scripted and stuff.
I genuinely, if anyone does know, if we haven't alienated all of our American listeners by this point, because they're sat there like, wow, The In-Betweeners USA is the best show ever.
I don't think anyone's saying that.
No, they know it sucks, and that's the
No,
worst
yeah,
thing. You're
exactly.
being fed shit.
Exactly. Even the Americans know, like, that sounds harsh, but like they know, like, it's not good. It's just fucking executives like saying, now we'll do our version, and it's
You've seen
the
them.
same.
Yeah, like also like the one thing I can't understand about the In-Betweeners part of that all is like the point of the In-Betweeners is that it can only be. Firstly, it's incredibly specific to the British secondary school experience, and like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and also like you can get away with talking about the most fucking heinous shit on that show because
Yeah.
it was aired after 9 p.m. and British people aren't afraid of certain words.
Yeah.
Like, but Americans, it's like bus turds. Like, what's that?
Is that what they said?
They say bus turds.
Instead of bus wanker?
Yeah.
Wow.
What is that?
I don't know. That is
A
bad.
bus
Didn't Taika
poo?
Waititi write that?
Who?
Taika Waititi?
I believe he actually did have a hand in it at some
He
point.
wrote,
yeah.
he wrote on it, I believe.
I know he
Yeah.
directed one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know,
Interesting.
man. Shit's fucked. Shit's wild, but yeah, you're right. I think it has mostly stopped now.
Good, because there really is no need. Like, the version is there. Just watch it.
Get
man.
ready for the
Like,
Crown USA. It makes no sense.
sense at all.
It makes no sense, but we did it anyway.
Oh, the Crown.
Mom. Stop ruling the country, Mom.
There were 3 of us in this relationship.
I'm the princess of the people, man. Right, anyway, now that all of the Americans are gone. Nathan, do we have anything else that you would like to say on Broadchurch?
No, I don't think so. I'm very excited to discuss Series 2 and 3, especially Series 3, because I remember that being incredible, like the best of the 3 series. So,
Really, better than it goes up.
I don't know if Series 2 does, but Series 3 definitely.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm excited.
I'm just checking to see if there's a point in you asking me if we've got any tweets. There is not.
Okay, great. Any emails?
It's also something I don't know. I'm almost certain not, though.
All right. Well,
Let's go find out. No emails, no point in asking that question. So,
great. Wonderful.
Anyway, Nathan, it is time for that part of the show where we recommend stuff to each other. If you're new here, what we do is we talk about something that we have experienced that week. It could be a movie. It could be an experience. It could be a food. It could be literally anything that you fancy. Nathan, take it away. What are you recommending this week?
Joel Kinnaman on the moon.
Okay.
But he's not on the moon. It's
Is he somewhere
called-
else?
Yeah, he's on Mars. It's called. Well, now he's on Mars. It's called For All Mankind, Lawrence. It is a show streaming on Apple TV Plus, an original show from there, from the best streaming service in terms of original content.
It really is. Yeah.
It is. It is. And I think this is my favorite show on there. It's so good. I love it so much. Basically, what it is the first season initially takes place in 1969, and we have the landing on the moon, the mission to the moon, the space race, as it were. But instead of Neil Armstrong and the Americans landing there, it turns out the Russians beat them. And because of that, the space race never ended. There was this big push to be then like...
Just never let it go.
Exactly, yeah. Because they were like, right, well, the Russians have landed there. America, we need to land there. We need to build a base on the moon and start this whole big thing. And basically every season takes place like throughout a decade. It moves up a decade with every season. So the first season takes place in the 70s, second season in the 80s, third season in the 90s.
Is it
currently on season 4, and it's now in the 2000s.
Is it like X-Men prequels decade jumping, where it like the actors are all just 1 year older?
No, because they actually do physically age the characters up.
Nice.
They do a good job of like getting the characters, like doing makeup and prosthetics, and actually aging the characters up as
For
well.
a whole season of TV, that's a commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the case of like, oh, I'm 42 and I look 18. You know,
Yeah.
like, they actually do stuff with the
There's
characters.
talcum powder in my quiff.
Yeah.
I am old.
But no, it's a great show. I love the idea of it, and that like because the space race never ended, there was this like leap in like technology, like that this world is more technologically advanced than ours is, because you know like innovation comes from this like we're like we got a lot of technology and stuff from the space race to begin with, and because that ended pretty much in the 60s, there was this kind of like lull. But because in this world it never ended, you know, by like the time they're in the 90s, they've got iPods and flat screen TVs and electric cars and that kind of stuff.
That's quite interesting. Yeah,
it's really good. So yeah, it's all about that, and it's like currently the last 2 seasons have been more focused on Mars than the moon. Like they initially land on Mars in the 90s and that type of stuff.
Shit.
Yeah, it's genuinely like really good and really interesting. I love
Elon
it.
Musk watching this show, like, oh, actually,
Yeah, there is kind of like an Elon Musk-esque character in series 3, which is
I bet there would
interesting.
be a bit one would emerge in this hypothetical world.
Yeah. Well, they do like because they have like NASA and then like the Russian version of NASA, but then they have like, oh, it's just a billionaire who's made his own space program and he's getting involved in the space race now as well.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff. So
And he has, unfortunately, the resources of an entire country, so we have to somewhat listen to him.
yeah, exactly.
And take this fucking buffoon seriously.
It is really well good. It's got a great cast. Joel Kinnaman's amazing in it. There's lots of other great actors and actresses. And yeah, I genuinely love it quite a lot. I do think it's the best thing on Apple TV Plus. So
Lovely.
check it out. Give it a watch. It's good stuff.
I'm not. I'm going to watch Broadchurch.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, you told me you make rules. I have to do that.
You do have to watch Broadchurch. Yeah. You are legally obliged to
It's
watch
true.
Broadchurch.
My recommendation, Nathan, is an artist who I found on Instagram and Twitter this week, and just scrolling across.
Ooh.
Indeed. Her name, or at least on Twitter, her name is Katerina, spelt with a C. Her if you want to follow her, is CACMRG. I wouldn't be sure how to pronounce that, so I just figured here's the letters. You do with it what you want. Anyway, she is CACMRG, I guess like Kakmurj.
Okay.
Kakmurj? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, anyway, so basically she is an oil painter, and she has an online store where she can kind of provide you with posters, prints, or actual painted oil pieces, which she does completely from scratch. She often takes inspiration, which is how I imagine I found it, and it appeared on my feed. She does mostly kind of like film and TV inspirational works. She has this really, really phenomenal painting of an oil painting of Daniel Kaluuya from Nope, and I think the piece is called Bad Miracle. And I don't know, I just think her use of colours is very... oil painting is something that I think is it's runny, right? It's hard to do, and I think it's somewhat maybe becoming a bit of a lost art. Because it takes a lot more patience than I think a lot of young people have. Certainly, I don't have the patience for it or the ability. But it genuinely, she's very, very talented, and I don't know much about her work, but I know that the stuff I looked at on her story is really cool, and it may be good for some Christmas presents if people are still shopping for those. And also, it's cool, looks good, and I might buy a little piece for my office.
I'm just looking at some of her stuff now. This is quite good. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if it's not, I think it's quite a wide variety of like film inspirations, and like even if it's not for you, I still think the ability and the talent behind it is like remarkable. Like,
Yeah,
I'm always
definitely.
really impressed by artists and how they can create these things just from like pure reference and yeah, I don't know. It's just a talent that I could never ever like consider myself having. It's like when people can play an instrument and I'm just look at them in awe, like, how does your brain know to do that? So
She's got a nice painting here of the star of Shark Tale, Martin Scorsese. So
there he is, yeah, his most famous
is.
piece.
yeah,
But yeah, do go and give her a follow, at least on Twitter. Her @ is CACMRG. She is called Katerina. And I don't know, check it out, see if you like any stuff, maybe buy some stuff from her online shop. I think it's all linked on her bio. So
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff.
Indeed. And Nathan, what I will have to tell you is, and people should know this anyway, but next week we are going to be doing this.
It's Broadchurch Season 2. I'll get a clip.
Yeah, I can't Google it. Don't make me look at it. Wahoo!
Wahoo!
It's not
It's
Mario.
not Mario.
It is not. It's actually Broadchurch Season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've made that clear enough. What I will say also is thank you very much for listening. It's genuinely very appreciated. If you have enjoyed the show, please feel free to leave us a little 5-star review. That'd be much appreciated. You can do that on your podcast platform of choice. You can also go and follow us on Twitter. That is at Another Happy Pod for any updates, as well as your thoughts on certain episodes. I know that I've been a naughty boy and not posted certain prompt tweets when I should have done, but they will be up. I've had a busy week. Doctor Who's been back. I had a busy Saturday. I was distracted. I was excited, and then I was scrolling Twitter to find out other people's opinions on Doctor Who. But yeah, you can send us your opinions on what you think of the stuff.
And then you got sad when you read other people's opinions.
Yeah, and I also just went, oh, the world sucks.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
But also, right, for the next 2 weeks we're going to be doing Broadchurch, so like, drop them. You know what we're doing. Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on Broadchurch. Do you like it? Keep them spoiler free if you can for future seasons and that kind of stuff, or just in general, because like.
Well, I think I won't look at it, but drop your spoilers.
Oh
on
yeah,
season 2.
you'll have seen season 2 by the time this comes out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I will have done. Yeah.
You'll have finished season 2 by the time this comes out. So yeah.
Yeah, drop your spoiler thoughts on season 2. Really try and avoid spoiling season 3 because I'm very much fresh to this and going through it. But anyway, cool. You can also, on Twitter while you're there, go over to our pin tweet and there's a little form you can fill out and suggest a little option for us, a little thing you want us to check us out. No promises. We might get to them. We might not.
Oh, my dad, he didn't fill in the form, but he just messaged me like a suggestion
what
for
was
us to do. And then he said he should come on as a consultant.
I'd fucking love that. I
don't know how I feel about it. I said, well, think about it.
What was it?
Platoon.
What is Platoon?
It's a very famous war movie.
I'd be down for it, man. I want to watch anything Carl wants to watch.
Well, we'll see.
We could do. I'll cut all this out, but we can do a on YouTube they're like experienced veteran soldier reacts to World War II movie. But yeah, that is where you can suggest something if you want us to check us. Fuck me.
That's where you can suggest a topic for us to discuss at any point. No promises, but we might get to it.
If mid-sentence it became Nathan there, that's because I was really struggling to get that line out. So Nathan took over. Also, Nathan, we have another podcast, don't we?
We do. It's called Still Got Legs. It's all about Doctor Who. You may be familiar with it. It's our rewatch discussion podcast where each week we watch and discuss an episode of the revival era of Doctor Who, and it's a lot of fun, so you should come and join us for that wonderful adventure. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. It comes out every Monday at 10 a.m. Yes, there you go.
Indeed. Also, you can start that whenever, by the way. You don't have to join us as and when. You can listen to the whole back catalogue. I will say, if you enjoyed our episode last week on an adventure in space and time, it's just more of that, but in a sillier fashion, talking about more modern and up-to-date, hokey CGI shit. So, go and listen to that. It's a good little show. And while you're at it, I will say thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next week.
We will see you next week, indeed. Goodbye.
Bye.
Here's to Crime Drama Christmas.
Ooh, ho, ho, ho.